Hey friends, today we are looking at solving equations using like terms. This actually has a lot of skills in common with some of the stuff we did before where we were trying to evaluate expressions using variables that might have different operations between them. This time we have an equation in play. So the skill quick code is VSW, and I'm going to start off showing you what the example tells us is our kind of key takeaway for this. So in the example we've got 19q plus q equals 20. And it asks you to solve for q. Like terms are basically going to have the same variables raised to the exact same powers. By that, I mean it's got a variable that might be raised to the first power, that you can't combine that with a variable that's raised to the second power. To add them, you can either add their coefficients. If you need to subtract them, you can subtract their coefficients. The coefficients are the numbers that are being multiplied by those variables. So here I've got the coefficient 19, and that's being multiplied by the variable q. Here I don't see a number, but that really means that hidden there is the number 1. Okay, so I've got q, same as 1q, like we just said. I can combine those by adding that 1q to this 19q. That leaves me with 20 q's. Once I've gotten to that, to solve this, I need to get this q by itself. I need to simplify this equation. And so I do this by dividing out this 20 that's being multiplied. The reason I divide is because I always want to use the inverse operation that's in play. The inverse of multiplication, the opposite, is division. This is something we've already discussed in previous videos, but I wanted to make sure we refreshed our memory on why we were doing it this way. So I have 20q. I use the inverse. Go ahead and divide that by 20. On my other side, I've got 20, and I also divide that by 20. Everything I do on the left, I do on the right, and my answer is q equals 1. This should be familiar to you, but we're going to go through it again a couple more times as we look at some examples. All right. Solving for b, I've got 7b plus b equals 16. The best way to do this is to have a pencil or paper. So if you don't have one with you right now or some other way to write, go ahead and pause this video, grab some sort of writing utensil and a paper, and then come on back to the clip. I assume you've paused it, grabbed a writing utensil, and you are back to do it. So let's go ahead and write 7b plus b equals 16. To keep myself organized, I like to draw a line right down in the equation to make sure things move the right way in the right types of places. So I've got 7b plus b. Now I remember that that b actually has a coefficient of 1 in front of it. And so what I need to do to combine these is to add those two coefficients, or add the two numbers that are being multiplied by the variable b. So 7 plus 1 gives me 8. And then that's going to be multiplied by the b. And I haven't moved anything over the equal sign over this line, so the right side is just going to stay the same. Now I need to get the b by itself. And right now I can see they're being multiplied together, even though it's not visible. That's what operation is here. So I use the inverse of multiplication and divide out that 8. That leaves me with b by itself on this side. I leave my equal sign on the line to keep this clean and divided, and then b equals 2. Let's take a look and see if we got that correct. B equals 2? Absolutely. Next up, solve for m where 9m plus m equals 10. What is inside that m? 9m plus m equals 10. I'll draw my line down. My coefficient for my m is still 1, just like in the last example, so I combine these two and get 10m. Ooh, this division is going to be real easy. To get this m by itself, I use the inverse of multiplication and divide out that 10. I divide it on the right side because anything I do to the left, I do to the right. And m is equal to 1. 10 divided by 10 is 1. Wonderful. Ooh, subtraction. 11t minus 8t equals 18. If I were to solve for t, what would I get? Go ahead and write that down on your paper. 11t minus 8t equals 18. Mr. Shaw, I'm saving my paper for when I'm doing this myself. Okay, fine. 11t minus 8t. I need to add the coefficients if I'm adding them, but here I'm subtracting, so I'll subtract the coefficients. So 11 is the coefficient, and I subtract 8, that other coefficient. 11 minus 8 is 3t. Draw that line, equal sign on the line, and nothing moved to the right, so 18 stays the same. The second step is the same as the last two examples. I'm going to go ahead and get this variable by itself by using the inverse of multiplication and dividing the 3 out. So t equals 18 divided by 3 is 6. Hero. Let's see if that's right. Man, IXL is so stressful, but I feel so good about it. We're subtracting again. Now let's see, for those of you, some of you are not going to use pencil and paper, despite the fact that I'm definitely clearly telling you to. So how could I do this with a little mental math? I'm combining these coefficients, 15 minus 14. I can do that in my head. That's 1. If it's 1, I know that coefficient just doesn't really show up, so that would just be c. And that means c equals 10. Huh, that couldn't have been easier. Let me try another one in my head. 5m minus 1m. I subtract the coefficients. 5 minus 1 is 4. And then if I have 4m's equals 12, then I need to divide that 4 on both sides. 12 divided by 4 is 3. I said it, but let me check it. I had 5m minus m equals 12. I subtracted these and got 4m equals 12. I divide by 4, and m equals 3. Did it right in my head, and IXL thinks so too. We're going to blaze through a couple of these because I want to show you one other type of problem before you try this on your own. So 7 minus 3 is 4. 16 divided by 4 is 4. Get that smart score high. This time I've got 1, 2, 3 combinations. When I do this, it doesn't matter what order I combine it in because addition and subtraction are the same on PEMDAS, so I just go from left to right. 16z minus z leaves me with 15z's. 15z plus 5 equals 20, so 15z plus 5z is 20z. So when I've combined all three of those, 16z minus z plus 5z equals 20. 16 minus 1 plus 5, I end up with 20z equals 20. There's actually nothing that different about this. All we've done is just combined this using 3 instead of 2 different terms. And that leaves me with z equals 1. It looks like 2 equals 1 because Mr. Shaw's handwriting is terrible, but you're sick of hearing me talk about it. Now you're going to combine 4 terms. I think you've got the hang of this. Good luck, and let us know if you have any questions.